Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Kosher Intuitive. I am your hostess, comedian, clairvoyant, intuitive, healer, energy healer, and life coach, and investment realtor, just by the way. Yael Meisels, how the hell are you this beautiful Sunday morning? Shavua Tov. Before we jump in to the topics we're going to cover today, I'm just letting everyone know with the Hagim coming up, my colleagues that work in the energy space and myself know that for us, this is normally one of the busiest times of the year because families are getting together. And if you feel you need support, let me tell you something, an energy clearing, an energy healing, and a good coaching session, even if you just did one or two, can really put you in the mind space of going into the holiday, not stressed out, not freaking out, because we know with Yontif starting, the adrenaline gets pumping, getting everybody ready. And then by the time the holiday gets there, you're fired up just preparing for the holiday. So book if you haven't been a client already, book your free consultation today. For all new clients, for your first session, we're offering 15% off. For all current clients, we're offering 10% off to get you through this time. So that is our sales. If you would like to, just so you guys know, at my business, the Kosher Intuitive, while sessions for a 2 to 3 hour clearing are $350, I do have sliding scale rates for people who qualify. I have never allowed finances to stand in the way of giving someone the help they need. So even if you think you can't afford energy healing, reach out. Let's talk about what you can afford. We are not going to leave you high and dry during what is one of the most stressful times of the year. Okay, moving on to today's topic. All right. So as most of you who follow me on the regular know, I have had for the better part of my adult life an absolute, like most people, disdain for rabbinical corruption. Now, in previous videos that have since been deleted, out of the goodness of my heart, by the way, I want to just say that those videos were deleted out of the goodness of my heart. Did anybody tell me to delete them? No. Did law enforcement, which is involved, and we're going to get in, because the first two videos were deleted, we're going to get into the reason and how the feds got involved here. The feds are involved with my reckoning, for lack of a different word, with the Detroit Bays Den and all of the individuals who run it. Now, I did, in the previous videos, throw some punches at a very big rabbi in Queens that I used to be extremely close with. Now, I'm not going to say their names. And like I said, out of the goodness of my heart, I deleted my first two videos that did say their names. And I do have those videos. So should these individuals act out again, I can release them. You need to understand something. Everybody watching this show, you need to understand something, especially if you're one of the villains who get highlighted on this show. All right? We've seen from Zaka, we've seen from Flatbush Girl, both two pious, holy people who run these organizations, who have seen, much like the way I've seen, right, that these people cannot, will not, and do not behave. And I'm saying behave like decent people, okay? Unless major force is brought to their life, all right? We have seen the success rates that Zaka has. We have seen, Baruch Hashem, by the way, the success rates, Baruch Hashem, the little sassy Flatbush girl has. We've seen her success rates. Why? Do you know how holy you have to be to do what this chick out in Flatbush does? Do you have any clue how holy you have to be to do that? Holy. Because the same thing with the girl who runs Zaka. You know how holy you have to be to say, I know, and this is the same, this is essentially the same spot I'm in right now, where you're like, I've seen so much deliberate abuse, destruction, bad behavior, pedophilia, crime cover-up, money laundering, la, 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 right? All the egregious sins. I see it and hear about it in my business on a regular basis, okay? And I understand the Detroit community, the Detroit VOD that runs their conversion program, like a bunch of militants, okay? I understand that they have produced a few holy people, all right? But my problem with them is they've produced a few in comparison to the amount that they produce in total. And I got to tell you something. If you are an individual of color, okay, every Based-In that I've even been made aware of, including the VOD of Detroit, which is on our shit list, and we're not going to unpublicize the war with the VOD of Detroit because we need a total, complete removal and change, okay? So we're, I hate to say it, but there's no pity, sympathy, or mercy for the thugs running the VOD of Detroit. Even the postsake of the community is a thug. I can't tell you how many cases regarding money I've heard of in the last couple of days that this big postsake, Rabbi Irons, mismanaged, where the former person or the criminal was essentially given the grace of the Based-In or the grace of the die-in, basically because these criminal thug Erev Rav rabbis don't want to see criminals go to jail, which is one of the biggest issues that I have with my ex-husband's rabbi, whom I have known a quarter of a century. Believe me when I tell you there are plenty of skeletons in that man's closet, and he has patted himself. We're going to touch on my ex-husband's rabbi for 2 minutes. Sir, I'm not going to say your name anymore because I have value for your children, not you. Okay? I think you and your wife are jokes. I feel sorry for your children. That's why I'm not shouting your name out again. You have thought, because you have helped this family financially, periodically, here and there, you thought that entitled you to treat me like a thug and a militant. Hopefully this week I showed you that I too can be a verbal thug and militant. Like, I am too capable of exhibiting that behavior. Now, Rabbi Blah, my ex-husband's rabbi, you have done no mitzvahs over here. You understand? Now, whatever good thing you've done for this family, sir, you did it out of guilt. You did it out of being backed in a corner because you protect a criminal on the rabbinical foundation that you don't want to see a Jewish criminal going to jail or being held accountable. In fact, sir, how many times did you tell me that my ex-husband didn't even want these kids and therefore it's my responsibility to take care of them? Sir, the only reason I'm not publicly nailing you to the cross again is because I have Rachmanis for one of your sons that's my age and still single. Now, I know the reason your children have had no mazal in Shidduchim is because you're not Bikoris and you are not sorry for the sins you have committed against your community. My hope is that Hashem will have Rachmanis on you. Same goes for the bozos out in Queens that I attacked. My hope is that Hashem will take Rachmanis on your children. And I'm going to do one bigger for the shits out in Queens that slandered me for the first 11 years of my children's life. Okay? I'm going to tell you what these idiots did. I used to be very close with this family in Queens. They're a big family. They're a big name. And I have deleted publicly the 2 videos I had shouting out their name. So I'm going to talk about the events, but I'm not going to mention you by name. That's my kindness, my chesed regarding your situation. I was close with these people for a number of years. Now, while I was close to them, people that I used to go to their house for Shabbos with would tell me on our walk home, you know, these people make fun of you and talk bad about you behind your back. Now, I believed it, but it was too hard for me to digest as an early 20-something. You know what I mean? Because you were nice to my face. Now, when I married Usher and Zephaniah's father, all hell broke loose. In fact, when I told you people I was pregnant, the first thing you said was the rabbi needs babies for adopted families. Don't you fuckers sit there on a moral high horse and act like you have been attacked for no reason. Too many people, Rabbi Blah and his smart mouth Rebbitzin, too many people that you had no fucking clue knew me have sat at your Shabbos table and watched while you slander me. The rabbi even said in front of one of my friends who was appalled, he didn't understand. Well, this was, by the way, when my kids were about 5 or 6. My kids are in yeshiva. They've grown with their mother. The rabbi said in front of a girlfriend of mine, he doesn't understand why I didn't give my kids up for adoption. Are you fucking for real right now? Do you even know who I am, how good my kids are, how good of a job I've done? The bottom line here is you're being called out for over a decade of slandering my name in front of my clients who have paid me for advice, who have shown up at your Shabbos table, to have no clue that you knew me, to hear you speak filth that they knew wasn't true. Everybody who has been hurt by this family, who pats themselves on the back for presenting beautiful Shabbos dinners and having a shul, if you think this family ever helped you, at your next paycheck, you give them a donation and you make sure that you give these people enough of a donation where anything they've ever done for you is compensated, and you don't ever let these bitches try to perform mitzvahs with your name on it again. Because I'm going to tell you something, Rabbi Blah and his shitbag wife, Blah, in Queens. My next big closing in real estate, you're going to be getting a donation for how much money I think knowing me has cost you. You will be reimbursed to make sure that Hashem has no reason to bless you with a mitzvah for anything you've ever done. I have not seen these bitches since my children's breasts. My children turned 13 back in Adar. And just so you know, while your century-old children that are aged out of the system, okay, are sitting single, my holy children were born on Zion Adar, circumcised. You know that because you know their briss or their moil, who's one of the holiest people alive. You know, I am done with fat mouth, smart mouth, apicorsim rabbis who have done nothing to redeem our people, but tell us all about how behaving ourselves in peace and love will bring the Messiah. Hello, Mashiach, where are you? Mashiach, where are you? Oh, I get it. So the peace and love mitzvah shit, you know, bow to the rabbi, hasn't brought the Messiah? Yeah, no kidding. I think the rabbis know that too. Because when you do things, you apicorsim, like tell people there are no prophets, knowing Mashiach's going to be the biggest prophet to ever live, you're putting an energy in the world that isn't true. It's imagine, this is what you're doing. Imagine there's like spiritual bullets coming out of your mouth, rabbis. And when you say something that Hashem knows isn't true, those spiritual bullets, instead of going to your victim, they slice back around and they come to you. Just like Rabbi and Rebbitzin mouthy shit in Queens. Let me tell you what you did upstairs. Now, your kids aren't married because you're apicorsim. You make tshuva and apologize to everybody you've hurt. I give you my word, your 3 oldest shit single children will be married in the next 2 years. I give you my word. You apologize to everybody except me, because I don't ever want to hear from you. I'm going to let God keep this anger on your record. I don't forgive you. But everybody else that you fucked over, you call them or text them and you give them a sincere apology. I guarantee your nursing home aged kids get married in the next 2 years. Watch me be right. Be sorry. Watch your kids get married. And that's what any Kabbalist worth his salt would tell you. And this is coming from the smart-mouthed rabbi and his wife, who will tell you that the Kabbalists who know things don't talk. Let me tell you why those Kabbalists don't talk, because they don't know. And they don't want to look foolish. So they just let you assume they're pious. Stop being stupid. Let's get back to the Detroit Basin. We already told the shitbags and queens what they did and how to fix it. May Hashem be with you, watching you, judging you, administering his wrath wherever he needs to. And should you deserve a miracle for your children because you're genuinely sorry, I hope you get it. Next topic, Detroit Basin. Rabbi Babayev, Rabbi Levine, they sit on the Detroit Basin. We're not going to get into the garbage converts you people produce. And I will never forgive you. Right, Rabbi Kostowitz? You know that. I will never forgive you, gentlemen, for the way you tried to embarrass me, intimidate me, and humiliate me when I came to your Beis Din just trying to get a letter so I can make Aliyah one day, because my real Garris papers from the holy rabbis that are not you burned in a fire. Don't worry, I handled my affairs at a different Beis Din with rabbis who weren't full of shit and Arab Rav. Now, I'm going to take us back about 7 years to when two very good friends of mine, Baruch Hashem, both of whom are married now to beautiful people. They've got beautiful little kids. Truly a divorce story that had a really happy ending. And I'm glad about that because these people deserved it. Now, when these two friends of mine, and I was just as much friends with him as I was her. In fact, I'm close with his new wife. I go to them for meals. I'm actually closer with his new wife and him at this point than I am with my old girlfriend. No particular reason, no ill reason why. You know, just that's the way the cookie crumbled. So I've been close with these people for a really long time, almost a decade. When they were getting divorced, and I just want you guys to know, this is one of several, dozens and dozens, possibly hundreds of bad stories about the Detroit Basin. Rabbis Babayev and Levine were single-handedly trying to force this husband to withhold a get from his now ex-wife, trying to give him all of this time with this kid that he couldn't even accommodate, not because he's a bad guy, he works a lot. You know, really fighting for the kid to try to make a shitbag out of the mother, God forbid. And these rabbis created such a ruckus that the day the ex-wife and the now ex-husband were going to do the get, the rabbis created such a fight, the get didn't happen. A meteor hit the Metro Detroit area that day. Now, being that I'm me, I took a look at this and I was like, oh, shit. Now, the get was done shortly thereafter, but the get was delayed because of the egos of Rabbi Babayev and Rabbi Levine. Now, Rabbi Babayev and Rabbi Levine and Rabbi Kostowitz are known for standing by men who deny their wives gettin. There is a congregant in Rabbi Babayev's shul that has withheld a get from his wife for, I think, 3 decades by now. A makshimo. May that man just disappear off the face of the earth to free that poor woman. May Hashem may Hashem render vengeance and wrath on that entire situation until that poor woman is free of these chains. You know, you people allow this. Now, I know people in this community, and for some reason, Rabbi Kostowitz, nobody, including the people that attend your shul, except for your goony criminal-like converts, think you're anything special. You are known for being a person with no common sense, and I've spoken to you. You sound like a person who has an IQ of 90 at the highest. All right? I wouldn't even think you break the 3 digits. Now, I know, Rabbi Kostowitz, that you're so full of ayin hara, demonic energy, and ghosts, because you're so wicked, that you can't even make proper decisions. You're literally a walking cemetery, sir. Rabbi Babayev, you are all but a demonic figure, literally. Do you understand? You're like a Shin Daled stuck in the body of a man. You will, sir, I'm telling you, let the community clairvoyant science whiz religion expert tell you, you are going to feel the wrath of God in your life so badly you're not going to know what to do. Because every awful thing you gentlemen have ever done, right, Rabbi Irons, is going to come out in the surface. And I'm going to explain something else. The FBI is involved. They're watching me, Baruch Hashem. So while the FBI, and look what I had to do to get the attention of the FBI. Do you think this wasn't intentional? I told you in the videos that I deleted, here at the Kosher Intuitive, our 3rd biggest seller is helping people get justice for themselves, legally, ethically, and without harming a soul. So did you really think you were gonna, you fell into, I baited the line, you fish, and you bit it and got pulled out the water, because now the FBI is involved. I knew if I raised enough hell, the feds, the law, somebody would get involved. And they did, Baruch Hashem. So now, while the feds watch me, they can take a peekaboo at all the crime that goes on in this community. Because the FBI and I had a great conversation Thursday. We were laughing. We were talking about my dad, who was an FBI agent, my father, Avashalom. We're talking about the FBI is actually a career path. My son has wanted to go in for many years of his life. When I told my kids the FBI was at the house on Thursday when I picked them up from school, my son, who wants to be a federal agent, goes, "Oh shit, I wish I was home. Did he give you your number? Can I call him and ask him some questions?" Like, you have to understand something. I, to some degree, excuse me, am a public figure. To some degree. Which means every time I get up on a stage in front of and behind a mic, every time I get in front of this camera, I am opening myself to scrutiny because I am a person in the public space. Any rabbi, such as the Detroit Basin, such as the Posek Rabbi Irons, such as Rabbi Levine, such as Rabbi Babayev, such as Rabbi Kostowitz, you are all public figures, which means, like a politician, like a comedian, like anybody in a public space, you are open to public scrutiny. And just because something is said about you that is 100% true and humiliating and being said in front of a camera does not make it a crime or a federal crime. It doesn't. Rabbi Kostowitz, if I were going to physically beat your ass, you've done enough, sir, that I would have done it already. I would never physically harm a person because I know the real damage is done in front of a camera telling the truth. There is a man who is sitting incarcerated right now who 3 years ago tried to murder his wife and children with vehicular manslaughter. Rabbi Kostowitz and his goons and his shul still stand by that criminal and his family. This is one story. When that mother, after, God love her, she healed from that horrible crash, she's still barely able to walk with a walker in a wheelchair, wheeled her children to this asshole's shul DBN. Until finally, the grandparents, the parents of the criminal who attend the shul, sent her a letter telling her she was no longer allowed to attend. That is public humiliation. Do you not think, Rabbi Kostowitz, that you at this juncture deserve a little bit of public humiliation? Come on, Rosh Hashanah is on its way. The king is in the field. You just didn't think he'd bring a shitty daughter with him, did you? You know them converts do be children of God and Avraham Avinu. The king is in the field, and he brought all his shitty kids that hate evil with him. That's right, the king is in the field. The king is in the field, isn't it, Rabbi Irons? The king is in the field, Rabbi Babayev. Hey, Rabbi Levine, did you know the king's in the field? How about you, Rabbi Kostowitz? Now, you're getting a lot from the king's kids over up on that field, aren't you? You rabbis dare. You are right now being investigated by the feds because you called the feds on me like a bunch of little wussy, sissy wimpies. Saying, El Meisel's just going to kick our ass. I'm not going to kick your ass. I'm going to publicly slay your integrity. I don't have to physically lay a hand on you. Nobody from me is going to physically lay a hand on you because I know that's not how to hurt you. That's not how to hurt you. Rabbi Kostowitz, we have countless landlording stories. I've dealt with you in a real estate transaction. You're a nightmare. You think you're smarter than people. You ain't smarter than me. I hope I've made myself very clear. I want to thank the young Israels in our community for having such a dedication to upholding the laws, not only the laws of these here United States, but the laws of our Torah. I want to thank these rabbis, and some of these rabbis I don't even like as a person. It's not about that. You can still be righteous, and I think you're a jerk. You don't have to like me for me to support what you're doing. I am very, very thankful that young Israel exists. I have never seen a young Israel mismanaged or ran by thugs. And when I said the young Israel in Kew Gardens Hills was a safe shul, the FBI asked me why I said that, because that is the only shul that I have total faith and total confidence that nobody evil attends there. Their rabbinical clergy isn't evil. They will stand by right. They will stand by justice, and they won't allow a person to be screwed over. They won't allow someone to be intimidated. They won't allow someone to be treated badly. The people of the young Israel of Kew Garden Hills, Queens, have always been adorable, righteous, pious people. Why wouldn't I support that shul and see to it that people are getting a healthy, clean Jewish religious experience when there's so many Apikorsam Erev Rav in their community? Like the rabbi I'm not going to name anymore because I have Rachmanis on his single kids. They're 7 billion years old. And I just want them to get married because I personally know that pain. And it took me until the man I had in my life now, which you will never have a chance to destroy, chas v'shalom. I knew that pain too well. I remember that pain. In fact, I made sure I would never forget it. And I can tell you, the man I have in my life, just like I'm kicking ass in my community, he's kicking ass and spreads chesed every single moment he breathes in his community. His community would be lost without him. The man that I stand by is a Dayan. Don't you sit here, don't you stand there, and don't you mention my name as if I'm the Russia when you're the ones who have slandered me at your Shabbos table in front of people who love me, respect me, and admire me that I have helped. My kids are Mashiach compared to yours. Your kids will never be greater than mine. My kids had 120 IQ at 6. That was their last testing. They're 13 now. And we're doing private testing next year because that's when Mensa really matters, when you're in the school, when you're in the high school. You don't know where Hashem has led this family. And I know that the smart-mouthed brats and queens are the first people ever to call Child Protective Services on me. And you opened a door to evil where people abused me for over a decade with CPS over something that you started. You're damn right you're going to face the wrath of God for it. You have 3 children that are all in their hundreds sitting single as a result of it. Do some fucking tshuva. Know what it means to be sorry for the people you sin against. And I think the people you have sinned against need to hear from you in a public apology. And if you are even a 2% of the Kedusha that you let people think you are, you will make an apology to everybody except me that you've hurt. Because I get even. I kick the ball back. When you shoot the bullets out the gun, I turn them around and send them right back to you. And that's what I did, didn't I? I don't think anybody should give their money to your organization. I can even tell you times in my life where you have single-handedly stood in the way of my shidduchim after my first marriage. I have more dirt and more bad to say about you people than you could ever imagine. Don't mess with me. Don't ever speak my name again. If you do, your house will collapse. I guarantee it. Not because I'm going to hurt you, because God will get you. First Shabbos, I was Jewish, okay? First Shabbos, I was Jewish. I felt earthquakes all day. I felt like we were going to have an earthquake. And I lived in Flatbush at the time. Why in the hell would you think you're going to have an earthquake, right? Come into Shabbos. It's my first Shabbos ever as being a Jew. One of my friends in Flatbush, I'm 21 years old, 41 now. So this is 20 years ago. One of my friends in Flatbush at the time, I wanted to take me to one of her neighbors for the meal. Because she said, oh, my friend's a brand new Jew. They said, oh, how nice. Well, let's have her first Shabbos here. We'll make a nice big dinner. And they were the sweetest people. I wish I remembered their name. Yeshivish people, lovely people, typical Flatbush types, really cute. Now, at that time, and we had a beautiful Shabbos, by the way, beautiful dinner. If I could even remember the names of these people, I would send them a thank you note for making my first Shabbos so memorable. But very cute people. So we go in, we sit in the living room, we go to the table, we wash our hands, we hear Kiddush, we wash, we have chamotzi, or we hear Kiddush, wash, have chamotzi, we're all munching on the delicious challah. And for some reason, I got up to help serve, which is so strange because I was like, what am I doing in the living room? I went into the living room and just stared at the shas on the wall. They had a beautiful set of shas in these beautiful cabinets. And these are oak cabinets. This is not IKEA. This is some beautiful house in Flatbush. You know how they do. And I'm thinking again, earthquakes. And I say it in my head and it comes out of my mouth and I'm like, there's going to be an earthquake. Huh. It's just like that. No, probably no louder than that. Probably even not as loud as that. I'm staring at the shas. I go back. I go into the kitchen because that's what I meant to do. I meant to get up and help serve. They were done serving. We're sitting there for about 2 minutes. I had just taken a bite of my soup. The oak cabinets. Swear to God. The oak cabinets. Now, guys, you know oak is, you're not breaking oak, okay? These oak cabinets and every mamash, every Gemara on those cabinets fell to the floor. Fell to the floor. There wasn't a Gemara that wasn't on the floor. The oak cabinets broke as if they were in an earthquake. We rushed to the living room. We thought something had happened because it was like a crashing sound with all the Gemaras coming out. We rushed to the living room. We're saving the Gemaras. And, you know, it scared the shit out of me because I felt like there was an earthquake and then the Gemaras had an earthquake. Listen, I have essentially the same problem with Judaism that lots of people have. The false Messiah we know as Jesus had these problems. And I am not a follower of Christ. I left the church for a reason because I believed in Jesus as God, not him, you know? But the problems I have with Judaism are identical to what started the Christian movement because rabbis would not relinquish an abundance of power and mind control over the population. We don't need another movement to prevent that. What we need to do is have the real righteous Jews go through the Talmud, go through the Mishnah, go through the Gemara, and pull out the halachas written by Rabbanan that are Erev Rav. That's what needs to be done. When I look at the Talmud says a lot of things that are true. The Talmud also says a lot of things that are trash. And I know Erev Rav put that in the Talmud. The Talmud, the Gemara, and the Mishnah. Okay, I've got a Mishnah right here. Got a Mishnah right here. All right? Let's take a look. Let's take a look at something. Let's take a look. On the page I'm on, I already see 1, 2. Oh, here we go. Rashi. Another rabbi. That's 2. That's 3, 4, 5, 6. So on page 23 of Mishnah Tanayas, there's 6 different rabbinical opinions. Why? Why in God's name is 6 different opinions? Even, you understand, there is not supposed to be, when Hashem told us to establish rabbinical laws and interpret the Torah, how many cooks were allowed to be in that kitchen? Isn't it plausible to understand that we have so many rabbinical opinions that people don't know which rabbinical opinions are valid, which ones are not valid, right? We're not able to, I'm able to pick that out. I know people who are able to pick that out. There's a part of the Talmud that talks about the halakhic parameters in which someone, chas v'shalom, would be allowed to rape a 3-year-old. There is no circumstance indicative of what the Fakakta Talmud says that you're allowed to rape anybody, let alone a child. That passage has Erev Rav written all over it. Our Talmud has poison in it. Get it out! Why in God's name do we have 3 halachot about how to make a fucking cup of tea? No halachas about why raping children is going to send you to the worst parts of Gehenna, and how to care for a rape victim or victim of child sex abuse. What, you think this didn't go on back then? Of course it did. Rabbis wrote halachas so they could continue to do it. The reason it's in the Talmud as something you're allowed to do, God forbid, is to let the other Erev Rav satanic Frankist Jews know this is what you're supposed to do. Now let me tell you something. There's a reason Satanists participate in sex rituals against children at a certain age because of energetic pulling they pull out of their bodies. That's done with black blood magic. You expect me to believe that every rabbi who contributed to the Gemara and Mishnah and Talmud was not involved with Frankist, satanic black blood magic? Of course they were. Of course there was rabbis involved in that shit who wrote in the Talmud. Why do you think the book of Ezekiel almost didn't make it into the Torah? Because the god-awful rabbis who were picking apart the Torah, it gave God too much control. When you realize your Erev Rav Rabbanan have been plotting and sinning against you to keep your world, our Judaism and shit in shambles, we're not allowing it anymore. We're not allowing it anymore. I have seen amazing things happen by way of energy healing. And I give you my solemn promise. I will work as long as I exist to get evil clergy out of our religious institutions. This is not just a war on the Detroit VOD. It's a war on bad religion. I'm not going to tolerate it anymore. Much more so, I would start within my own community and try to rip out the rats in the Detroit VOD. I don't want to kick their ass. I want them to quit their jobs, move to Kansas, and live in a trailer park where they can Baruch Hashem each other and only have to inflict their bullshit on one another. I don't know why I keep damning all these people to Kansas. I apologize to the people of Kansas. I'm going to close with this. I am a Meisels by marriage, which is I was about to say rubbish. Rubbish. It's a rubbish Hasidic dynasty, and they are so holy, they think. So, the rabbi who sits in the way of my children getting any justice from their dad or their dad having any accountability, nor his family. My ex-husband has an uncle, Rabbi Deutsch, who infiltrates this community from Williamsburg, Brooklyn. Every Sukkot, they come and poison us here in Detroit. Now, when I met his wife, Esther, at my Sheva Brachas, this idiot told me they come to Detroit, to the smack of the most religious community in Michigan, to do Kiruv. So black hats and wigs in Detroit, those creepy ass Streimels and Spitzels that come in every year. Yeah, they're related to us, and they think they're macaraving you, just so you know. So let me tell you what this disgusting Rabbi Deutsch did. So I have a meeting with him with my kids. I'm wearing a dress well below the knee, really duty length, and blue jeggings, like those jean-looking leggings that you couldn't even wear as jeans, because I don't wear pants. That's something people don't know about me. I don't wear pants. Not that I have an issue with women who do. It's not my business. Culturally, it's not the right thing for me. Moving on, right? So the rabbi asked if he can meet me. This was around Hanukkah time, privately, which was a yichud situation. It didn't even dawn on me till after I left. During that conversation, he tried to apply pressure that if my children wanted a relationship with the family, they'd have to go to Darchei Torah, shave their heads, and start acting like Satmar people. Who in God's name is going to act like the evil Satmars up in this bitch? Up in my home? Nobody. This rabbi asked me to dress appropriately. I was dressed appropriately. So I wore more clothes at the meeting. When he then asked me about my sex life with his nephew, my ex-husband, I'm serious. Satmar Judaism is one of the most poisonous, garbage, Apikoros. Almost all of them are Erev Rav. They are a stain on Judaism. And you watch, when the Messiah is revealed, watch Williamsburg burn to the ground from fire from the sky. Did you guys know there is a ball of lava miles wide and deep moving? This is science, by the way, not Yael's opinion. Fucking Google what I'm telling you, New York City. I have seen in visions for 2 years now, New York City going in flames. Makes sense. Mandani's around. You people are getting the wrath of God for bad Judaism. Doesn't that make sense to you? Look at who's going to win your mayor campaign. Look who's going to win. He won already. He wins. It would take a miracle, a miracle you probably aren't even good enough to have, to overturn that shit judgment on the Jews in New York City. There is a miles deep and wide ball of lava traveling northeast, headed for New York City, at the path that it's traveling in, under the earth from the Appalachian Mountains. You people are getting the wrath of God. Even your Makubalim in Brooklyn are gross and jokes and full of demons and ghosts. But I'm going to address one more topic. I counsel a lot of energy healers. There's some major organizations in the Jewish world that have constant problems with their energy healing abilities. You know why? They're trying to utilize gifts they're not supposed to have. And soon, the two biggest energy healing establishments within Judaism, one of them, I believe, is given their hashgacha by the Biala Rebbe, who's just, those energy healers they're not always able to help you. I know this because I've worked with them. The reason they're not always able to help you is because they're trying to tap in to an energetic source and frequency Hashem does not want them to have. That is why they do not work. That is why they do not have accuracy. And that is why they cannot stay in the open flow. That's why they can't stay there. They're utilizing something they're not allowed to have. Because those of us who are God-blessed energy healers, who are supposed to do this work, we never have those problems to the extent we can't even identify with those problems. I wouldn't know what it means to not be able to energetically or clairvoyantly help a client. I wouldn't even know what that means, let alone something I could turn on and off. Stay away from bad energy healers. Stay away from bad rabbis. Stay away from bad shuls. Stay away from bad people. Mashiach is here. And I guarantee you, any minute now, we are going to know who that Messiah is. Please, God. Any minute now, we are going to see dead people, righteous among the dead, walk in the earth. Any minute now, we're going to see a ginormous pillar of fire come from the sky and just kaboom! The base of Migdash on the Temple Mount. It's going to happen. I'm going to wish you guys a great day. And I'm going to just remind the Detroit Basin and the bitches out in Queens, hearing something that you don't like doesn't make it a federal crime. doesn't make it a national crime, doesn't make it a domestic crime. It means your dumb feelings were hurt. Shut up and eat it. Have a good day. God bless.